Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monica. For those of you who don't know me, I am a 35-year veteran script supervisor, and I am now retired, and I spend my time making videos for you because I remember how it was when I first started out. It was really hard for me to get information, especially even asking other script supervisors because they were very tight-lipped on, what information they wanted to give out. So I decided to create this channel for you so that you can come and ask questions, or maybe I can answer questions in these videos, and make your job a little bit easier, because I know it was really hard for me when I first started out. Okay, so today what we're going to be going over is inserts. All right. And inserts are really important because it's your job as a script supervisor to convey what is on that page in a clear way to the audience. All right. I know it's the director's job to make sure that happens, but many times the director is, he's uh, distracted, or he's looking at the big picture, and sometimes he may not get those little inserts. He may think, oh, I'm getting this, I'm getting that, but did I get this? Did I get this little insert here or insert there to clarify the scene? So it's your job to make sure that he's getting all those pieces. All right. In fact, they'll even turn to you and say, hey, did we get everything? So that's when you're going to say, so when you look at the scene, you want to say, okay, you know what, he's picking up the phone here, so we might need an insert there, or he's picking up the picture here, we might need an insert there. And those are the times when he turns to you and says, hey, did we get everything? And you know that he didn't get that insert of the picture, or he didn't get that insert of the text on the phone. You're going to say, well, do you need an insert of the text, because we didn't get that? Or do you need an insert of that phone or that photo, because we didn't get that either? So it's real important. So I'm going to be going over a couple of scenes with you to show you the importance of, why an insert can clarify a scene very easily. So the scene that I selected today is another one of my favorites. It's the haunted mansion with Eddie Murphy. And this is a scene where they're down in the crypt. Him and his daughter are down in the crypt, and they have to get a key to basically solve his wife's predicament, or to save his wife. So that's where we're going to go. That's the first scene we're going to be going over. All right. Okay. So let's get started. Okay, so this is the scene where, like I said, in the crypt, where they have to pick up the key and they have to run out of the crypt. Now, I want you to count. I'm going to play the whole clip for you, and I'll kind of be narrating as we go along. But I want you to count how many inserts you counted in that scene, uh, to check yourself to see, oh, well, they did an insert here, they did an insert there. Don't get them confused with close-ups. Close-ups are like a close-up of a person, or a close-up of, inserts are to clarify certain points. All right. So like I said, I'm going to play the clip, and then I want you to as I'm talking, you just count how many you think there are, and then you can actually go back again and count them again if you missed it. And then after we play the clip, I'm going to show you the inserts that they did in that particular scene. Okay, so here we are. Now there, got the key in his hand. He's got it in his right hand. And now, of course, he realizes that he's not home free. And it falls down into the grates, and it goes into the water. Okay, so now he, of course, has to get the key. He tells his daughter to go down there and get it. And so now he's got to ward off the zombies. All right, so, and here we go. She's in the water, and every time I see this scene, I think, my gosh, I don't know. Whenever you're dealing with water in scenes, it's really difficult to film, because the logistics of it all is kind of difficult. Okay, so the head comes off and he goes into the water. All right, so there he thinks, all right, he's home free. And he looks down to his daughter, and she's still trying to get the key. And he says, "Oh, don't worry about it. I got you covered." Turns around, and oh my gosh, now the whole team comes out. So the rest of the zombies are coming out, and she, of course, knows she has to go under the water and get this key. So now, the tension is starting to rise, and he sees all these zombies coming out, and he's thinking, okay, what am I going to do? And now you got to hurry up because there's all kinds of stuff going on now. Okay, so now they're starting to come around, and the zombies are really starting to come out, and she is still trying to look for that key. There it is, and she grabs it, and she goes up, and of course the zombies are after her there too, and she gets away, and of course is saved by her father, who picks her up from the top. And right there. Okay, so they picks her up, brings her out. Now let's, it's got the key. Let's run out of here, and she's going up the stairs. And now they go to the door. Now, of course, their son is there, and door closes. So now they have to get out of there. And of course, the son is deathly afraid of spiders. Okay, so here all the spiders comes out, and of course he doesn't want to get anywhere near that door, and he doesn't know what's going on. He just knows that his dad just wants him to open the door, but doesn't know that there are zombies that are chasing his dad and his sister. So he finally convinces them to come forward to get to open the door, because these zombies are just right on their tail, and they're getting closer. So he says, "Okay, I'm coming in," and he opens the door, and now they come out, and they close the door, and of course they have a couple little casualties here of the hand falling on the ground. Okay, so he's able to close it up. And of course, his son is covered with spiders, and he's got to take all of his spiders off. And so and now, of course, everything's great. So that's the scene. Okay, so the moment of truth. How many did you catch? Did you catch 10? Well, if you caught 10, then you're doing really good, because that's how many I caught. All right. And if you caught less, that's okay too, because some of these inserts are a little deceiving. They may look like it's just one insert, but it actually may be two and even three sometimes. Okay, so let's take this first one, for example. All right, so the first one is the key falls on the grate. Okay, then we have another shot of him picking it up. All right, so if you notice, when it falls on the grate, it's a little bit wider, and then he kind of pushed in a little bit for him picking it up, because you want to make a note that it's falling through the grate, and maybe in that wider shot they may not have caught that, but when they're actually doing that shot of the key falling on the grate, that's one shot. And then the director probably said, you know what, let's push in a little bit, because I want to make sure that we get it going through the grate. So that's actually two shots. Okay, so we have that one. And another thing I want to make note here is that look at how he's holding the torch. He's holding the torch in the left hand, and he has the key in the right hand. Now he drops the key from the right hand, and then he switches the torch over, and then he goes in with his left hand to pick up the key. Okay, that's really important, because you may think, oh, he's got the torch in the left hand, and then you think, oh, well, we're going to do the insert. He must have picked it up with the right hand. No, at the very last minute, he switched it, and he picked it up with his left hand. So those are the moments that you have to really make a note of, because you know that they're going to do an insert of the key falling on the ground. So right at that moment, you have to know which hand did he actually use to pick up that key. All right, so that's really important. Okay, so let's look at number 2. Now, number 2 is the key falls on the water. Okay, so that you have the key falls on the grate, and then it falls through the grate, and now it's falling on the water. So that's another shot. Then we have in number 3, the key falls through the water. Okay, so that's a whole separate other shot. Now, when you shoot that shot, you're not going to shoot that until you actually shoot the scene, the shot where the girl actually picks it up from the water, because the camera's already going to be in the water. So you want to make sure that when they go to shoot that her grabbing the key, you want to make sure that they catch the key falling through the water, so you could put it here in this part of the scene of it actually falling through the water. So again, you want to think ahead of, okay, what happened before this? Okay, we want to get it falling through the water, and then we want her picking it up as well. So that's number 3. And then, of course, we have number 4, where the corpse head is hitting the wall. Now, you see in this shot, you have a wider shot where he's hitting the corpse over the head, and then the director wants to get an impact shot of the head actually hitting the wall. So that would be considered an insert, because we want to make sure we get an insert of it hitting the wall, and then because we're going to go back to the wide shot of him, finishing up, throwing him over the wall to falling in the water. Okay, so that's 4. So let's look at the other inserts that we have in this series. Okay, so the next one we have is number 5, which is the girl's POV of the key in the water. Okay, so remember when I said that when they go to shoot this particular shot, you want to make sure that they're getting the key falling through the water, so that we can put it in that earlier shot, right? And then of course they're good. So this is actually 2 shots. They split it up, so they have one shot. It's the girl's POV of the key. So you want to make sure that if they're getting a POV, that they have enough footage there to cut back to her and then cut back to the key. All right. So if somebody's doing a POV, they'll say, "Oh, we'll get the POV at the beginning of that shot." Well, you want to make sure that there's enough footage of that key, a static key there, for them to be able to cut back and forth and say, if they say, if they start the shot and she goes in to grab the key right away, there isn't enough time there for a POV. Okay, so you have to remember to tell the director, say, okay, she came in really fast. There wasn't enough time there for her POV. So you got to make sure that they leave enough time for that POV, because they use this shot for two shots. All right, so, and then number 6, we have a pull out to reveal the spiders on the doorknob. All right, so that's one shot. And here, this is where I was saying that some of these were a little deceiving, because you think, oh, well, that's all one shot, right? No, it's several shots. So the first one, or number 6, would be the close up of the doorknob, and then we pull out to reveal the spiders coming out of the door. And then number 7 is a static full shot of the door with the spiders. Okay, so we got one shot of a pull out of the spiders, and then he's standing there. Now it's just a full shot, static shot of the door. So that's another shot. And then number 8 is where the boy goes in to open the door to open the door with the spiders. Okay, so again, that shot might have looked like it's all one shot, but you got to make sure that there's different story points for each one of those shots to make sure that they get. All right, so let's look at the last 2. Okay, so here's the last 2 inserts. Now, number 9 is the corpse's hand falling on the ground. So that's pretty cut and dry. He gets chopped off, and then, we see it falling to the ground and it's moving around. And then number 10 is actually when the spiders are hitting the floor, when Eddie Murphy's taking him off his son and they're falling to the ground. Now, do you notice something really interesting about number 10, scene 10 or shot 10, when they're falling to the ground? 2 things that hit me right away is, where are his feet? Okay, those are actually supposed to be the boy's feet. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, those are Eddie Murphy's feet because they're on the right side, but those aren't Eddie Murphy's shoes. So he was wearing some shiny shoes, and you'll notice in shot 9 there, you can see what his shoes look like. So it's clear that it's the boys' shoes. So the boys' shoes are in the wrong place. They should be on the left side, not on the right side. Okay, so you have to remember when you're going to be doing these inserts. It could be, now these are live spiders. Okay, so it could be that they're not going to do these inserts until they have the animal wrangler on the set to do the live spiders, which is fine. But you have to make sure you get a continuity shot of their position, so that when they go in to do that insert, you can say, okay, this is where they were standing, so they know the boy is on the left side and Eddie Murphy is on the right side. Okay. And also, the other thing about this shot is that he's totally static. He's standing there with no movement at all. And I know part of the reason why they did that is because they're live spiders. Okay, so the animal wrangler is probably saying we can't have them moving around or anything because they're live animals. I understand that, but they can still, and I used to be an animal trainer in the film industry, so I know what I'm saying here. They can still stand and just make movement in the knees. Say if they just move their knees back and forth and their feet were totally planted, there's still some kind of movement there, so that it's not totally static, because it doesn't match. You cut from Eddie Murphy frantically, taking the spiders down, and the boy's standing there, and he's scared to death. He's doing that as well. And then you cut down to the shoes, and they're totally still. Okay. So again, you want to have a little bit of movement. And in that particular situation, I know it's very delicate because you're dealing with live animals. Just have them plant their feet and then just move, just to have a little bit of movement. So, from side to side, so that at least there's some kind of movement going on there. Okay. So that's very important. Okay. So let's go to our next clip. Okay, so the next sequence I want to talk to you about is from the movie Big with Tom Hanks. And again, another one of my favorite films. And this is the scene where I want to show you the insert of where he picks up the card. When he originally picks up the card when he's a little kid, and he looks at it. And then when he picks up the card when he's an adult. And I want to show you the difference there in what happens. Okay, so here we are with young Josh. He's at the Zoltar booth, and he puts in his quarter because he wants to be big, right? He was just rejected by his not girlfriend, but the girl that he likes, and he couldn't get on the ride because he was too short. So now he wants to be big. So here he goes. He kicking it because it wasn't working. Okay, now he's got it working. Okay, great. Now he's happy. So he put his quarter in, and so Zoltar starts to come to life. So now it says to reposition, the thing, so that uh, it goes into his mouth. The quarter goes into his mouth, and now he says, "Make your wish." And of course, young Josh, he says, "I want to be big." Want to be big, right? Okay, so now he says, press the red button to release the coin. So he presses the red button and it releases the coin and it goes into his mouth. Okay, so he's made his wish. He looks over to the boys and says, oh boy, I really want to be big again. And then he looks down and he picks up the card. Look at how he picks up the card. And then he turns it around and says, your wish has been granted. Perfect. There's nothing wrong with that scene. It's a perfect insert that shows everything. And then there's another insert there of the cord, because he notices that there's no electricity. So how does this work? He doesn't know. But anyway, so that's the end of that scene. Okay, and here's the scene where Tom Hanks is already big and Elizabeth Perkins is running to the park because he's just left a meeting, and she's kind of not sure of what's going on because she's thinking that maybe it is really true what he's talking about. So, and she's not sure. So she's going to go, and she followed him to the park. And of course, she finds him there at the park with Zoltar. And she, walks up to him and she says, "Oh, well, okay, how can you leave the meeting like that? You can't be leaving the meeting like that." But then she's looking over to Zoltar like, is this really true? And she's not really sure. So she goes and she doesn't understand, but then he's already put the coin in and the card's down in the slot. So she's going to go down and she's going to pick up the card with her right hand. She brings it up to herself like that. She doesn't turn it around. All right. And then now it's turned around, and then she walks away. All right. It's very important to understand. Now, nothing, I'm not going to say anything bad about Penny Marshall, because I'm sure her thought was, we've already seen the card and we don't need to see it again. But you have to understand that when she goes to pick up the card, notice it again, when she goes to pick up that card, and when she goes to pick up that card, she picks it up, and then the camera's following her up, that she hasn't turned it around, right? And she brings it up and she's looking at it. She's actually looking at the back of the card. She's not looking at the other side. It's not until we cut away and come back that she has the card turned around. So we never see her turn the card around. So my suggestion would have been, you know, is it possible to get her to turn the card around in an insert so we can see that she's turned the card around? Or can we, at least have her, when she picks it up, turn it around and bring it up, since we've already seen the card. That way, at least we know. But right now, when she picks it up, she's looking at the back of the card. Okay. So that's real important. Again, not to diss Penny Marshall, because she directed this movie, but we just want to make sure that it's clear to the audience, because that she did turn it around, because the way she picked it up and she's looking at it, she's not really looking at the back. She's only looking at she's looking at the back. She's not looking at the front. Okay. All right, so that's the thing that you need to make sure that you notice when you're doing inserts. Okay, so that wraps it up for this video, and just remember that inserts are really very important to maintain continuity. All right, some of the things you need to remember is the prop continuity. Okay, so that key falling down, which way did it fall? Did it fall with the circle on the top and the key part on the bottom, or did it fall the other way around? When things fall to the ground, make sure that that they fall the way they exited the frame and they entered the frame in the insert. Also, the energy that is in the scene, you have to make sure that it continues on to whatever that insert is. If a person is flipping through a book, say for example, she's looking through a diary or something, and she gets the book and she's looking through it really fast, you want to make sure that when they do that insert of her looking through, she's not just calmly looking through the pages, she's frantically looking through it like she did in the scene. Okay, so the energy is really important. The other thing is, whatever hand they use, how did they pick up the picture? How did they pick up the key? How did they pick up the card? How are they holding the phone? Are they holding it with two hands, or are they holding it with one hand? That's where those pictures, those continuity shots come in. Okay, so make sure that you take shots when you know there's going to be an insert. Make sure you take a shot of how they are, so that, because here's the thing, they may not do it when they're shooting. They may do an insert unit later, where they're going to be doing all those inserts at one time. Well, they need to know what was happening in that scene. Like I said, in that shot where the spiders were hitting the ground, that was probably an insert unit where they didn't bring in the spiders until another day. So they needed to know, where were they standing when they did that. At that point, it's obvious they didn't have a picture to show whoever was doing that insert, where they were standing. So if you're the main script supervisor on the main unit and they're doing an insert unit and they're bringing in another script supervisor to do that, you got to make sure that, okay, what are they shooting? They're doing that insert of the spider. I got to make sure I get my continuity shot over to that script supervisor so they know what to match. All right. And you, if you're coming in as a second unit script supervisor, say on an insert unit, look to see what you're shooting and ask the script supervisor, do we have any continuity shots on this so that I know what to match? All right. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and make sure you hit the bell and leave any comments in the comments and on any of the things that I've shot here today. Maybe I'll do another video on some of your questions like I've done in the past. All right, so that's all I have. So like I said, hit the bell and subscribe and leave me a comment. Talk to you later.